There are wounds life gives us, but the deepest ones are carved by the ones we raise with our own hands. Evelyn Hart was 76, fragile in body but still carrying the warmth of a heart that had spent a lifetime giving. She lived alone after the death of her husband, Henry. His memory lived in every corner of her apartment, especially in the sweater she still folded with trembling hands, pressing it softly against her chest, as if the fabric still carried his warmth. A sharp knock broke the silence. Not a warm knock, not a gentle one. A knock that carried impatience. Evelyn opened the door with a hopeful smile. Her daughter, Sophia Hart, stood there. Eyes cold, shoulders stiff, carrying the kind of distance only years of unspoken resentment create. Behind her stood Daniel Reeves, Sophia's husband. Face emotionless, a man who spoke softly but felt sharp. Evelyn. Beta, you didn't call. Is everything all right? Sophia brushed past her, entering without a hug, without a smile. Daniel followed. Evelyn stayed frozen for a second, her hands holding each other quietly, the way people do when they suddenly feel like guests in their own home. Sophia sat down, exhaling heavily. Sophia. Mom, we need to talk. Evelyn felt her heart tighten. When a daughter speaks like that, a mother's soul already knows something is wrong. Evelyn. Is something the matter? Daniel leaned forward, hands together, pretending to be gentle. Daniel. We've been thinking about it. You shouldn't be living alone anymore. It's unsafe. Evelyn blinked, confused. Evelyn. Unsafe. I'm fine. I cook, I clean, I remember everything just fine. Sophia interrupted sharply. Sophia. Mom, stop. You forget things. You misplaced your keys 3 times last month. You nearly tripped on the stairs. You can't keep living like this. Evelyn felt a sudden ache in her chest. Not because the words were harsh, but because her daughter genuinely believed them. Evelyn. Beta, this is my home. Daniel picked up a suitcase from the corner. A suitcase Evelyn didn't remember packing. Because she didn't. Daniel. We already arranged a place for you. Care facility. You'll be more comfortable there. Her breath caught. A facility. Her own daughter. Her own blood. Evelyn. You're taking me away. Just like that. Sophia folded her arms. Sophia. We don't have time to argue. Daniel and I have our own life, our own kids, our own responsibilities. You're becoming a burden. That word drilled into her heart. Burden. Evelyn lowered her eyes, blinking away the burn in them. She had carried Sophia in her arms, stayed up with her through fevers and terrors, worked 2 jobs to feed her. And today, to her own daughter, she was nothing but weight. Daniel stood, lifting the suitcase. Daniel. Let's go. It's already decided. Evelyn felt herself going numb. Not from age. Not from fear. But from betrayal so cold it froze her from the inside out. She walked out of her home with slow, weak steps. The home where she had laughed, wept, dreamed and loved. A home filled with memories that were being abandoned. Because the people she cherished no longer cherished her. As the door closed behind her, something inside her whispered, this is the price you pay for loving people who stopped loving you back. But destiny had not revealed its last card yet. The quiet, trembling old woman walking away from her home that day carried a secret, one that would someday bring this entire family to its knees.
The car ride was silent. Not the silence of peace. The silence of people who don't care enough to fill it. Evelyn sat in the back seat, hands shaking on her lap, her eyes fixed on the window as familiar streets passed by. Streets she had walked for decades. Streets that held pieces of her life. Today, they blurred like memories someone was trying to erase. Daniel drove, without looking back, even once. Sophia sat beside him, scrolling through her phone, as if this wasn't the day she was abandoning her own mother. Evelyn finally whispered, Evelyn. Sophia, am I really such a burden to you? Sophia didn't look back, didn't soften, didn't hesitate. Sophia. Mom, you're making this harder than it needs to be. Harder? Evelyn pressed her lips together, so they wouldn't tremble. How strange. A mother spends her whole life protecting her child, but when the child hurts her, she protects them from her own tears. The car finally stopped in front of a tall, emotionless building. Gray walls, locked windows, a place where time didn't move, and neither did hope. Daniel stepped out first, then opened Evelyn's door. Not with respect, but with impatience. "Daniel, come on. Let's get this over with." The words cut deeper than he knew. Sophia walked ahead, not waiting for her mother, not offering an arm, not caring that Evelyn struggled to keep up. Inside, the hall smelled of disinfectant and loneliness. A receptionist smiled artificially. The kind of smile you give when it's part of your job, not your heart. Receptionist. "Welcome. Is she being admitted today?"
She.
Not your mother. Not Mrs. Hart. Not Evelyn.
But she.
Just another elderly woman being left behind. Sophia signed papers without reading them. Daniel handled payment details. They didn't look at Evelyn once. After a few minutes, a nurse appeared. A woman in her 40s, with tired eyes. "Nurse. Let's take you to your room, Mrs. Hart." Mrs. Hart. The name felt unfamiliar, because for the first time, she wasn't being called Mom. Evelyn looked at Sophia and Daniel, waiting, hoping, praying for even a single comforting word. But Sophia checked her watch. "Sophia, we should go. We're late." No hug. No reassurance. Not even a final look. Daniel nodded, already turning away. "Daniel, she'll adjust. Let's go." And just like that, they walked away. Evelyn watched their backs grow smaller, and smaller, and smaller, until they disappeared through the doors. And when the doors closed behind them, the sound echoed like a final goodbye. She stood there, trembling, her hands gripping the handle of her suitcase. Not because she was weak, but because everything inside her felt shattered. The nurse touched her shoulder gently. "Nurse, come with me. I'll show you your room." Evelyn followed, each step heavier than the last. Not because the path was long, but because the weight of betrayal was crushing her chest. Her room was small. A plain bed, a chair, a table, a window with bars. Bars. That was the moment she realized. This wasn't a care facility. This was a cage. A place where people were put away when their families ran out of patience. The nurse left with a small smile. The door closed, and for the first time in years, Evelyn allowed herself to break. She sat on the bed, pressed her palms to her face, and cried, not loudly, but in the soft, shaking way. Only the truly defeated cry. Because the most painful part wasn't the loneliness, wasn't the room, wasn't the bars. It was knowing that her own daughter didn't even look back once. Through her tears, Evelyn whispered to herself, "Evelyn, Henry, if you can see me, tell me why our child turned so cold." She looked around the room, at the walls that didn't know her story, at the bed that didn't remember her dreams. And then she made a promise in a trembling voice. "Evelyn, I won't let this be the end of me." What she didn't know was that life was already preparing a twist, one that would reveal who truly cared for her, and who cared only for what she had. Evelyn wiped her tears quietly as she sat on the narrow bed, her hands trembling on her lap. She didn't cry loudly. She cried like someone who had learned to suffer without disturbing anyone. A soft knock came at the door. A warm, gentle voice followed. "Rosa, may I come in?" Evelyn looked up and saw a woman standing at the door. A staff member, maybe in her late 40s. Tired eyes but a kind smile. That didn't feel forced like the receptionist's smile. Evelyn nodded weakly. Rosa stepped inside carrying a small tray, a glass of water, some biscuits, and a blanket folded neatly over her arm. "Rosa, I heard you just arrived. I thought you might need something warm." Evelyn tried to smile, but her lips betrayed her. "Evelyn, thank you. I appreciate it." Rosa placed the tray on the bedside table and sat down carefully beside her. "Rosa, you look like someone who hasn't been treated with kindness in a long time." The words were gentle. Not a question. Just an observation from someone who knew how abandonment looked. Evelyn lowered her eyes, fighting tears that threatened to rise again. Evelyn. My daughter, she brought me here today. She didn't even say goodbye. Rosa's face softened even more. Rosa. Some children forget who raised them once they grow up. Evelyn took a shaky breath. Evelyn. I gave her everything. Every dream I had. I gave it to her. Every happiness, every sacrifice. And today she couldn't give me 5 minutes. Rosa gently touched Evelyn's hand. Rosa. You're not the first mother left here like this. But it doesn't mean you deserved it. The sincerity in her voice cracked something inside Evelyn's chest. Because these were the first kind words she'd heard all day. Evelyn. I don't know why she did this. I don't understand what I did wrong. Rosa shook her head. Rosa. You loved her. Sometimes, that's the only mistake life punishes. Evelyn felt her throat tighten. A tear slipped down her cheek. Moments passed in silence until Rosa stood up. Rosa. If you need anything, you call for me. I'm not family, but I won't let you feel alone. Evelyn whispered softly. Evelyn. Thank you, Rosa. Rosa smiled and walked out quietly, closing the door with care. Evelyn looked around the small room again. The white walls, the barred window, the empty table. But something was different now. There was at least one person in this place who didn't look at her like a burden. She stood slowly and walked toward the window. Outside, she could see the parking lot. Sophia's car was already gone. Nothing left but the fading red glimpse of taillights. Evelyn whispered into the empty room. Evelyn. You didn't even look back. Her voice broke again, but she wiped her tears quickly, as if she didn't want even the walls to see her sadness. She sat on the chair beside the window, her eyes drifting to the sky turning orange with sunset. A soft, painful smile touched her lips. Evelyn. Henry. I wish you were here. I don't know how to survive this without you. She held her husband's old sweater close, breathing in the fading scent of memories. She didn't know that life was already arranging the next twist. A person she never expected to hear from again would soon come looking for her. Someone who would change everything. But for now, she sat alone in that small room, trying to hold her heart together, after being shattered by the people she loved most. The first night in the facility was the hardest. Evelyn barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Sophia's back walking away, her daughter leaving without a single glance, without a single hesitation. In the morning, she sat quietly on the edge of her bed, her hands wrapped around a warm cup of tea Rosa had brought earlier. It wasn't the tea she was used to, but it was the only warmth she had left. Rosa entered the room again, more carefully this time. Rosa. Evelyn, you have a phone call. Evelyn blinked, confused. Evelyn. A phone call? From whom? Rosa shook her head slightly. Rosa. They didn't say, but the voice that sounded concerned. Evelyn felt a strange flutter in her chest. Fear mixed with hope, because the only people who could call were the same people who had abandoned her. She followed Rosa to the small office near the hallway. A landline phone sat on the table, the line already connected, waiting for her voice. Rosa handed her the receiver gently. Rosa, take your time. Evelyn pressed the phone to her ear with trembling fingers. Evelyn. Hello. A familiar voice spoke, but not Sophia's. Not Daniel's. A voice she hadn't heard in years. Marcus. Mrs. Hart? It's Dr. Marcus Lewin. Her breath caught. Dr. Marcus Lewin. Henry's old friend. The family's longtime lawyer. Practically like an uncle to Sophia at one point. Evelyn. Marcus? Is that really you? Marcus. Yes. Evelyn, I've been trying to reach you for days. Why is your phone disconnected? Why haven't you been home? Her voice broke slightly. Evelyn. I'm not home anymore. Silence. A silence filled with shock. Marcus. What do you mean? Where are you? Evelyn swallowed. Evelyn. Sophia, she brought me to a care facility. Yesterday. The disbelief in Marcus's voice was sharp. Marcus. She did what? Without informing me? Without telling you why? Evelyn closed her eyes tightly. Evelyn, she said, I was becoming a burden to her. A deep exhale came from the other side of the phone. The kind of exhale someone makes when they hear something deeply unfair. Marcus. Evelyn, listen to me carefully. Henry left something important behind for you. Something Sophia doesn't know about. Something we need to discuss. Evelyn's heart began to pound. Evelyn, what are you talking about? Marcus hesitated for a moment, as if choosing his words carefully. Marcus, I can't explain everything on the phone, but I need to see you. Today. It's important. Very important. Evelyn gripped the phone tighter. Evelyn. Marcus, what did Henry leave? What are you not telling me? Marcus's voice softened, but remained firm. Marcus. You trusted Henry, right? Her eyes filled with tears instantly. Evelyn. With my life. Marcus. Then trust him now. And trust me. I'm coming to see you. Evelyn opened her mouth to respond, but the line disconnected. She stood there silently, staring at the phone, trying to understand what had just happened. What had Henry left her? Why was Marcus so alarmed? Why did he need to see her urgently? Rosa stepped closer gently. Rosa, are you all right, Evelyn? Evelyn looked at her with confusion and fear mixed together. Evelyn. Rosa, I think something is happening. Something I don't understand. Rosa placed a hand on her shoulder. Rosa, whatever it is, you don't have to face it alone. Evelyn didn't know it yet, but the truth Marcus was bringing would not only change her life, it would expose something her daughter never wanted her to discover. A secret that had the power to turn love into ashes and guilt into fear.
Hours passed, each one heavier than the last. Evelyn sat near the window, watching people she didn't know walk by in the courtyard. Some lost, some forgotten, some sitting quietly like broken pieces of a life someone else discarded. She wondered if she looked like them now. Rosa checked on her twice, each time with a gentle knock. And the same caring smile. A smile that slowly started feeling like the only real thing in this place. But Evelyn's mind was somewhere else. Marcus's voice kept echoing. Henry left something important behind for you. I need to see you today. Trust me. What could Henry have left? He had passed away years ago. All he owned was the small house. Or so Evelyn believed. A fear crept into her mind. Why didn't Sophia ever mention any of this? What was she hiding? What did Daniel know? Why was Marcus so urgent? As evening shadows stretched across her room, there was a knock. Not gentle, not like Rosa's, but firm, purposeful. Evelyn looked up. Rosa entered the room smiling slightly. Rosa. Evelyn. Someone is here to see you. Her heart skipped. A breath caught in her throat. Evelyn. Marcus. Rosa nodded. Rosa. Yes. A Mr. Lewin. Evelyn stood slowly, her legs almost trembling under the weight of anticipation and fear. Rosa guided her to the small visitor's room. Marcus Lewin stood there. Older, grayer, but the same warm-eyed man who had stood beside Henry through so many storms. He looked at Evelyn with genuine worry. Not pity. Not annoyance. Worry. Marcus. My God, Evelyn, what did they do to you? Evelyn's eyes softened with a mix of relief and sadness. Evelyn. They brought me here. Without asking. Without telling me why. Marcus clenched his jaw. A rare show of anger in a man usually calm. Marcus. Sophia had no right. Absolutely no right. Evelyn lowered her eyes. Evelyn. I don't understand what I did wrong, Marcus. Marcus stepped closer. Marcus. You didn't do anything wrong. You trusted the wrong hearts. Her eyes filled again, but Marcus gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Marcus. Sit with me. There's something Henry wanted me to tell you. Something he kept hidden, for your protection. Evelyn sat slowly, heart pounding. Marcus pulled out a brown envelope. Worn edges. Old handwriting. Henry's handwriting. Evelyn's breath hitched painfully. Evelyn. This is Henry's. Marcus nodded. Marcus. He wrote it for you. And he trusted me to open it. Only if you were ever mistreated, abandoned, or harmed by your own family. Evelyn's eyes widened. Confused. Evelyn. Harmed. Why would Henry think something like that? Marcus exhaled deeply. Marcus. Because Henry suspected something, Evelyn. Something about Sophia. And Daniel. Her heartbeat stumbled. Evelyn. What are you saying? Marcus carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a letter. Henry's last written words. The ink slightly faded. But the love and fear in the handwriting still alive. Marcus unfolded the letter slowly. Looked at Evelyn. And spoke. Marcus. Hearing this will hurt. But you deserve the truth. Evelyn gripped the edge of her chair. Her world tilting dangerously. Marcus began to read. Marcus. If Evelyn ever ends up alone. If she is abandoned. If my daughter turns her back on her. Tell her what she never wanted to hear. Tell her what I discovered. Tell her what I hid to keep her safe. Evelyn whispered, barely breathing. Evelyn. What did he discover? Marcus swallowed, then continued. Marcus. I fear Sophia's heart has changed. I fear she cares too much for money. And too little for the woman who raised her. A tear fell down Evelyn's cheek. Marcus continued reading. Marcus. If she ever betrays her mother, Evelyn must know the truth at once. She is not financially dependent on anyone. She is not at their mercy. And she must never allow them to control her life. Because Evelyn has her own wealth. Evelyn felt her body go cold. Evelyn. Wealth. Marcus, what wealth? Marcus took a slow breath. Marcus. Evelyn. Henry didn't just leave you the house. He left you his investments, his land, his shares, his savings. Evelyn stared at him in disbelief. Marcus. You're not poor, Evelyn. You're not helpless. You're not dependent on Sophia. Paused. Then delivered the truth that shattered everything. Marcus. You are worth more than $3 million, Evelyn. Her world stopped. Everything she believed. Everything she blamed herself for. Everything Sophia had ever told her. Shifted in a single heartbeat. Evelyn whispered, her voice broken. Evelyn. She abandoned me. Without knowing any of this. Marcus looked at her with heavy eyes. Marcus. No, Evelyn. She abandoned you. Because she knew. Evelyn's heart collapsed inside her chest. A cold, painful silence filled the room. Because this betrayal was far deeper than anything she imagined. Evelyn stared at Marcus, her lips trembling, her heart thundering painfully inside her chest. Her fingers felt numb. Her breath came shallow. $3 million. Wealth. Her. And the worst part. Sophia knew. Evelyn's voice cracked as she finally spoke. Evelyn. Marcus. My daughter knew. She knew. And she still left me here. Marcus nodded slowly. Marcus. Evelyn listened to me. Henry trusted only two people with the truth. You and me. But before he died, Sophia somehow found old records. She confronted Henry about them. They argued. Evelyn felt her stomach twist painfully. Evelyn. They argued. Why didn't Henry tell me? Marcus sighed. Marcus. He didn't want to worry you. You were already dealing with his illness. He wanted peace in his final days. And he wanted to protect you. Evelyn pressed a hand to her chest, trying to breathe through the ache. Evelyn. So Sophia knew. And instead of talking to me, she chose to hide it. To get rid of me. Marcus looked down. Marcus. She didn't want you to have control over your assets. She feared that you would give it to someone else. Or use it in ways she couldn't control. Evelyn's voice shook, weak and disbelieving. Evelyn. I am her mother. Her mother. How could she think like that about me? Marcus's face softened with sorrow. Marcus. Greed changes people, Evelyn. And Daniel, he encouraged it. He pushed her. He wanted access to your money. They thought if you were placed here, mentally declared, unable to handle responsibilities, they could take everything legally. Evelyn covered her mouth, horrified. Evelyn. Daniel. He wanted my money too. Marcus. He's the one who called me last month pretending to ask questions, for your safety. I knew something was wrong. That's why I came. Evelyn felt like her entire world was collapsing. Not slowly, but violently. How many nights had she thanked Sophia and Daniel for being busy? How many times had she blamed herself for being too much work? How many moments had she believed she was truly a burden? And all along, the burden wasn't her. It was their greed. Evelyn's tears finally spilled, falling onto her lap like broken pieces of her soul. Evelyn. Henry trusted her. I trusted her. And she did this to me. Marcus reached out and held her trembling hands. Marcus. You may have lost faith in your daughter, but don't lose faith in yourself. Evelyn looked at him through tears. Evelyn. What do I do now? Marcus's voice grew firm, steady, like someone preparing for battle. Marcus. Now, Evelyn. You fight back. Evelyn blinked at him, stunned. Evelyn. Fight. Marcus, I'm old. I don't even know where to begin. Marcus shook his head. Marcus. You have me. You have Henry's documents. You have legal power. And most importantly, you have the truth. He leaned closer. Marcus. I'm going to help you reclaim everything. Your home. Your freedom. Your dignity. Evelyn swallowed hard. Evelyn. But Sophia. She's still my child. How do I fight my own child? Marcus's voice lowered, filled with a quiet pain. Marcus. You're not fighting your child, Evelyn. You're fighting the woman greed turned her into. A long silence followed. Evelyn stared at the floor, tears sliding down her wrinkled cheeks, her heart breaking piece by piece. Evelyn. I never thought this day would come. Marcus squeezed her hand gently. Marcus. Neither did Henry. But he saw the darkness growing. And he prepared you for this. Evelyn looked up slowly. And for the first time, the fear in her eyes was mixed with something else. Strength. Tiny, trembling spark of strength. Evelyn. Marcus. I want to go home. Marcus smiled softly. Marcus. You will. But not as a weak, abandoned mother. As the rightful owner of everything Henry left for you. Evelyn held her breath as he stood. Marcus. I'll speak to the administration. You're leaving this place today. Her lips parted. Shocked, relieved, overwhelmed. Evelyn. Today. Marcus nodded firmly. Marcus. Yes. This ends today, Evelyn. But neither of them knew this fight was about to reveal something even darker. A secret Sophia and Daniel thought Evelyn would never discover. The real reason they wanted her gone. Marcus walked out to speak with the administration, leaving Evelyn alone in the small visitors' room. Her heart pounding with a mixture of fear, disbelief, and a strange new strength she didn't recognize in herself. For years she had lived quietly, helplessly, letting others decide for her. But today, for the first time in a very long time, she felt like someone was standing beside her. Not for her money, not for convenience, not out of obligation, but because she mattered. She sat there trembling slightly, her hands clutching the sweater of Henry, as if drawing courage from a man who was no longer here, yet felt closer than ever. The door opened again. Rosa walked in softly, eyes warm and worried. Rosa. You look pale, Evelyn. Is everything all right? Evelyn looked up at her. One of the very few faces in this place that showed kindness. Evelyn. Rosa. I'm leaving today. Rosa blinked, surprised. Rosa. Leaving? With who? Evelyn. Marcus. Henry's lawyer. He's helping me. Rosa hesitated, then stepped closer. Rosa. Good. You don't deserve to be here. I knew from the moment you arrived. This wasn't where you belonged. Her voice softened even more. Rosa. But, Evelyn, if you ever need anything, you can always call me. Even after you leave. Evelyn's eyes filled again. But this time not from pain. From gratitude. Evelyn reached out and held Rosa's hands. Evelyn. You have been the only warmth in this place. Rosa smiled gently, squeezing her hand. Rosa. And you reminded me that kindness still matters. Before Evelyn could respond, the door opened again. Marcus stepped inside, a folder in his hands. A determined look on his face. Marcus. It's done. Evelyn's breath caught. Marcus walked closer. Marcus. You're being discharged immediately. Legally, they have no right to keep you. Her voice trembled. Evelyn. Oh. I can go. Marcus smiled softly. Marcus. Yes. Pack your things. Evelyn blinked rapidly. Her emotions overwhelming her. Evelyn. I don't have much to pack. Marcus. Then take whatever matters. We're leaving in 10 minutes. Evelyn stood slowly. Her legs wobbled. Not because of age, but because she hadn't expected freedom so suddenly. Rosa helped her gather her few belongings. Henry's sweater, a small photo frame, her glasses, and the worn-out scarf she always carried. Every item felt like a piece of her old life. Slowly returning to her hands, Evelyn turned to Rosa one last time. Evelyn. I won't forget you. Rosa smiled warmly. Rosa. And I won't forget you. Evelyn followed Marcus through the hallway. Each step felt unreal. Like walking out of a nightmare. Into a world she wasn't sure how to face. As they reached the exit doors, Evelyn stopped. She looked back at the cold building. At the barred windows. At the walls that had held her grief. She whispered softly. Almost to herself. Evelyn. I came here broken. But I'm leaving with truth. Marcus gently guided her forward. Marcus. Let's go home. They stepped outside into the open air. For the first time in days, Evelyn felt the sunlight on her face. Warm, soft, comforting. It felt like a blessing. Like Henry was watching. But the moment she reached the car, Marcus's phone rang. He checked the screen. His expression shifted sharply. Evelyn noticed. Evelyn. Who is it? Marcus lowered his voice. Marcus. It's Sophia. Evelyn's stomach tightened painfully. Marcus. She's calling repeatedly. She must have found out you're leaving. Evelyn swallowed. Her voice barely a whisper. Evelyn. What do we do? Marcus's face hardened. Marcus. We don't answer. Not until you're safe. He silenced the phone. Sophia's name flashed again. And again. And again. Evelyn watched the screen with shaking hands. The name of her daughter. No longer bringing comfort. Only fear and confusion. Marcus opened the passenger door for her. Marcus. Get in, Evelyn. There's something else you need to know. Something I haven't told you yet. Evelyn froze, terrified. Evelyn. Something worse. Marcus didn't answer immediately. His silence said everything. Marcus. Yes. And it's about why Sophia wanted you out of the house. Before anyone could find out. Evelyn felt her heart drop. There was more. Something darker. Something Sophia and Daniel hid deep. And it was time to reveal it. Evelyn sat inside the car, her hands trembling on her lap as Marcus closed the door and walked around to the driver's seat. She could still feel her heartbeat in her throat. Sophia's name kept flashing again and again on Marcus's phone. Each call feeling like a ghost knocking on the walls of Evelyn's heart. But Marcus didn't answer. Not once. He turned to her once he settled in the driver's seat. Marcus. Evelyn, before we drive home, you must prepare yourself. Evelyn felt a chill move up her spine. Evelyn. Prepare myself for what? Marcus took a deep breath. Marcus. There's a reason Sophia wanted you out of the house. Not just for control. Not just for greed. Something else. Something dangerous. Evelyn blinked rapidly, a deep fear rising in her chest. Evelyn. Dangerous. Marcus, what are you saying? Marcus hesitated. The kind of hesitation that only comes before revealing something devastating. Then Sophia's name flashed on the phone again. But Marcus turned it face down. He finally spoke. Marcus. 3 months before Henry passed away. He found something wrong in the house. Evelyn's breath caught. Evelyn. Something wrong. In my house. Marcus nodded. Marcus. He found suspicious documents in Daniel's study. Emails. Bank transfers. Deals. Evelyn's voice trembled. Evelyn. Deals. What kind of deals? Marcus's voice lowered. Marcus. Illegal ones. Fraud. Money that didn't belong to him. Signatures he forged. Including Henry's. Evelyn's whole body stiffened. Evelyn. Henry's signature. Marcus. Daniel forged Henry's signature. Marcus. Yes. Henry discovered it accidentally. And he confronted Daniel quietly, without telling you. Evelyn felt dizzy. She pressed a hand against her forehead as memories flooded her. Daniel avoiding eye contact. Sophia defending him blindly. Whispers behind closed doors. Evelyn. Why didn't Henry tell me? Marcus looked at her with sadness. Marcus. He didn't want to stress you. He thought he could fix it. He thought Daniel would stop. Evelyn shook her head slowly, shocked. Evelyn. So Daniel was stealing. Marcus. Not just stealing. He was using your house as a base for fraudulent transactions. If authorities traced it, the house would be the first place they searched. Evelyn's heart dropped to her stomach. Evelyn. No. No, that can't be true. But Marcus continued, voice steady and firm. Marcus. And that's not all. After Henry died, Sophia discovered the documents too. Instead of turning Daniel in, she helped him hide them. Evelyn felt like the air had been punched out of her chest. Her own daughter. Evelyn. Why would she? Why would she do something like that? Marcus. To protect Daniel. To protect their lifestyle. And to keep you from walking into the room where the evidence was. Every memory of Sophia insisting Evelyn shouldn't go upstairs. Every time she cleaned the study herself. Every moment she got irritated when Evelyn touched anything. Suddenly made horrible sense. Evelyn whispered. Evelyn. She wasn't protecting me. She was hiding from me. Marcus nodded. Marcus. That's why they pushed you out so quickly. Because if you stayed, you might eventually find the files. A tear slid down Evelyn's cheek. Not from sadness, but from a kind of heartbreak that felt poisonous. Evelyn. So they put me in that place. While they hid the truth. And planned to take my money on top of it. To cover Daniel's crimes. Marcus. Yes. Silence filled the car. A silence thick with betrayal so deep. It didn't feel real. Evelyn looked out the window. Tears falling silently as she whispered. Evelyn. I raised a girl who could throw me away. To protect a man who was destroying my family. Marcus reached over and gently placed a comforting hand on hers. Marcus. You didn't fail as a mother, Evelyn. They failed as human beings. She closed her eyes. Breathing shakily. Feeling like the ground beneath her life was dissolving. Evelyn. What do we do now, Marcus? How do we face this? Marcus leaned back. His expression determined. Marcus. First we get you somewhere safe. And we prepare for what comes next. Evelyn looked at him with fear and trembling hope. Marcus. We confront them. With evidence. With truth. And with the power Henry left you. But before he could start the car, Marcus's phone lit up again. This time not with a call. With a message. Evelyn could see the preview. Sophia. I know where you took her. Evelyn's blood turned cold. Sophia knew. Sophia was coming. And the storm had only just begun. Marcus immediately started the engine. The fear in Evelyn's heart twisted painfully. Sophia was coming. Not to apologize. Not out of guilt. But because her lies were falling apart. Evelyn held her breath as they drove away from the facility. Evelyn. Marcus, where are we going? Marcus. To my office first. We need to secure Henry's documents. If Sophia and Daniel panic, they might try to destroy evidence. Evelyn nodded weakly. The city lights began to pass by. Evelyn stared out the window, watching the world she thought she knew. A world that had betrayed her, disappear behind her. Suddenly Marcus's phone buzzed again. New message. Sophia. Don't do this. We need to talk. Marcus ignored it. But Evelyn's hands shook. Evelyn. She's afraid. She knows I'm not where she left me. Marcus. And she's afraid you now know the truth. They reached Marcus's law office. He helped Evelyn inside, locking the doors behind them. The office was quiet, filled with books, files, soft lights. Safe place. Evelyn sat down slowly, her heart heavy, her soul tired. Marcus placed Henry's letter on the table in front of her. Marcus. For years you lived believing you had nothing. Today you know you have everything. Evelyn touched the letter with shaking fingers. Evelyn. Everything except the one thing I truly wanted. Marcus lowered his voice. Marcus. Sophia's love. Those words cut deeper than any truth before. Evelyn wiped her tears with trembling hands. Evelyn. No mother deserves this. No mother deserves to be abandoned for money. Marcus sat beside her. Marcus. You deserve peace, Evelyn. Not pain. You deserve protection. Not betrayal. Suddenly there was a loud bang on the office door. Evelyn flinched. Sophia's voice echoed from outside. Angry, desperate, panicked. Sophia. Open this door. Mom, I know you're in there. We need to talk. Evelyn's entire body went cold. Marcus stood between her and the door. Marcus. You don't need to open it. Not anymore. But Evelyn whispered. Evelyn. I have to face her. I need to hear her truth. From her own mouth. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. He opened the door. Sophia stormed in. His wild, breath sharp, face filled with anger and fear mixed together. Sophia. Mom. Why did you leave? Why didn't you stay where we put you? Evelyn stood slowly. Her voice broke, but it was steady. Evelyn. Where you put me. Not place. Not help. You put me there like I was a burden you wanted to forget. Sophia froze. Evelyn continued, tears falling. Evelyn. You didn't leave me there for my safety. You left me there to protect Daniel's crimes. And your greed. Sophia's face turned pale. Sophia. Mom, that's not. Marcus stepped forward. Marcus. Don't lie, Sophia. We know everything. Sophia looked between them, panic crawling up her throat. Sophia. I did it for all of us. Daniel said. Mom, please try to understand. Evelyn's voice cut through her words. Evelyn. You chose him over me. You chose money over me. You chose lies over me. After everything I did for you. Sophia's lips trembled. Sophia. I didn't want to lose anything. Evelyn stepped closer, her heart breaking but strong. Evelyn. You didn't just lose. You threw away the only person who truly loved you. Sophia's face crumbled. Evelyn whispered. Evelyn. You didn't just take my home. You took my dignity. You took my trust. And that is something I can never give you back. Sophia took a shaky step back, as if her mother's words were knives. Sophia. Mom, please. Don't do this to me. Evelyn's last tear fell. Evelyn. You already did it to yourself. Marcus spoke firmly. Marcus. Evelyn will be filing charges. Fraud. Forgery. Elder abuse. Sophia's eyes widened in horror. Sophia. Mom. You're going to ruin me. Evelyn closed her eyes. Painfully. Slowly. Evelyn. No, Sophia. You ruined yourself. Sophia collapsed into a chair, crying violently. Not out of guilt, but out of fear of losing everything she stole. Marcus gently touched Evelyn's arm. Marcus, let's go home. Evelyn nodded weakly, watching her daughter break down. But in her heart, something inside her finally stood up. She whispered softly, to herself, to Henry, to the universe, Evelyn, I may have lost my daughter, but today, I found myself. Marcus led her out of the office, away from the chaos, away from the betrayal. Outside the night felt calm. The stars shimmered, quiet witnesses of a mother's pain, and a woman's rebirth. As Evelyn stepped into the car, she felt something strange. Painful peace, but peace nonetheless. She looked up at the sky. Evelyn. Henry. I'm coming home. The door closed gently. And the story ended. Not with revenge. Not with hatred. But with truth, dignity, and the quiet strength of a woman who finally reclaimed her life.